Yeah, it's a little different down there. It's not what you see every day. It's a whole abandoned subway system and abandoned underground caverns. It's just kind of a weird, strange area. Okay, it does not. It's basically not our shining star to say anything. I mean, it's rough. I'll be honest with you.
I've heard a lot. I'm a Rochester native. I've heard a lot of horror stories.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight down there. Okay, one thing I gotta make sure everyone's okay. You're all dressed right. Everyone have a flashlight or some type of light.
They're passing them out.
Okay. All right. If you don't have one, just make sure you stay close to someone who does. There are areas down there where it will get into pitch darkness.
Oh. That's what I brought too.
I guess I'm not sure
figured you were
exactly
gonna
what
rely on
time you guys need to take off out of here, if there's a set time or anything. Yes, no?
Kind of.
To open the back cap, there's a seal that's blocking the battery.
Okay, thank you.
Fire.
Need to leave it all the way over to my house.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep track of time, so you know that it can be a real long tour, it can be a medium tour, short tour. I can kind of tailor it to whatever you want. But what's that? I don't know if you did or not. No. I mean, if you have a time,
Leave all that covered.
yeah, you gotta leave at what time?
And 12:45.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, all right, I'll keep that in mind then. So, okay, about an hour and a half then, so I'll know how far to go and where to go with the whole thing. All right, one big thing is, like, you don't wander off. There's a lot of areas where you can just kind of disappear, more or less, and we don't want you to disappear. All right, so stay together. It's, like I say, it's pretty vast down there. Goes off in different areas, stay together. Kind of weird going down there on Halloween. It's a little different.
Cool.
I don't encourage you to go down there tonight for trick-or-treating by any means. You don't want to go down there at night at all. The other big thing is don't touch a lot of stuff, because I'll be honest with you, it's pretty dirty. It's really dirty. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, there's vermin down there. You won't see a lot of this stuff, but it's there. You know, it's just not an area where you just want to be touching and feeling and climbing on everything, because it's pretty filthy. All right, so just the words of warning. You know, you're going into a rough area there. So, but then again, I'm going to stop at different places. I'll tell you about the history of that. Other big thing you're going to see is that you'll see a lot of remnants of transients, homeless people. You know, you may actually see a few down there today. You may not. It depends, but you'll see remnants of it all over the place. Most of the guys down there they're absolutely fine. You know, if they're sleeping, just leave them alone. That's the bottom line. But you know, it's pretty safe. We're safe in numbers and all that. So you know, nothing's going to happen. But like I say, just you know, be wary. You may see different people down there. You may see other people just touring down there, because it is kind of a unique area. Some people go down there on their own. But like I say, I'll try to explain what you're looking at as you go down there, a little bit of history, a little bit of what's happening in the city, some of our efforts to clean up the city, revitalize the city, capture our waterfront. So we'll get into that. Anyways, we're going to walk down the sidewalk, and we're going to go in behind the Dinosaur Barbecue restaurant. There's like a ramp that goes in down there. All right, everyone all set? All right. Oh, and lastly, make sure you ask a lot of questions for me, okay? I don't want to keep talking. I got my bottle of water here, but I just assume listen and you know, if you got questions, anything you don't understand or looks kind of weird, or you want some information about the city, just ask.
Away we go to the old Rochester subway. Been here all my life, never been down there. I've just heard a lot of horror stories. Now we're going to see if they're true.
It's quite the place. It's different.
So between his mag light and these, yeah, I think we can knock down a few people. I will defend myself.
Yeah.
And then flashlights will be made illegal because they're dangerous, because they hurt people.
Yeah.
And here we are crossing the street, and there's the
Spoiler alert, I don't think you're actually going to have to hit anybody.
Oh, I know. I would hope not.
Yeah.
But I'm prepared.
Yeah.
These things will do damage.
Yeah.
Not as much as his.
Yeah.
Also, do me a favor, if you you guys all know each other, I'm sure, are kind of a little familiar with each other in a way. Make sure we don't lose anyone. So if you see someone that, someone so-and-so wandered off, just let me know, okay? If I don't want to get all the way down there, all of a sudden find out we're missing one person or a couple people. So
Ooh, yeah, that would be bad.
try to watch out how many we have and everything.
That would so not be good. That's why I wore this jacket with the reflective stripes. I can be seen.
Oh yeah. It's absolutely a great thing to have.
You got it. Dark?
Where are you guys from?
I'm from right outside Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I'm from right here.
Oh, Rochesterian, okay.
Yep. Never sure if that's a good thing or not, but it is what it is.
I'm a Rochesterian. Grew up here, moved away for 15, 20 years, came back and all that.
I've yet to move away. I keep wanting to do that.
Yeah, it always draws you back.
We're
What are
going
you
in.
studying up here?
I'm filming computer science.
I just took a whole group of photographers down here yesterday.
Oh.
They were filming everything. We actually had a lot of film shoots down here.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I brought this and a bright flashlight.
Yeah, the flashlight probably won't do you much good.
Well,
Most of the guys that shoot down here have big flashes and
Oh, yeah, you'd
camera
have to.
setups and everything.
now this camera does a pretty good job with whatever you throw at
Does
it.
it? We're gonna go down right over by this column over here by that bridge.
I've been on this trail many times.
It's on time. Genesee River Trail.
Oh yeah. On bike and foot. It's a great way to get around if you don't drive.
Absolutely. So you're up at RIT now, or up at U of R now?
I work at U of R.
Oh, I do. Okay. What division or what?
Facilities.
What is it?
Facilities.
Okay.
I'm a cleaner at the U of R.
You were up there with Rich Pfeiffer's old gang there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he retired.
Yeah. He was a great egg. I used to like him.
Yeah. I always got along with him just fine.
I'm trying to think who's managing that now?
Bashwinner. Bruce Bashwinner.
Yeah.
He's from Jersey.
I was surprised. Pfeiffer used to live down in Pennsylvania and would drive up all the time. It's like so weird.
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia,
Not far
that's right.
from Dulles.
Yeah,
Like
that was
2 towns over from
That
Dulles.
was strange.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, just for your understanding, okay, this is the Johnson Seymour Raceway here. Out there you got the Genesee River, here you got the Johnson Seymour Raceway. Rochester was actually kind of founded right in this area. There used to be 3 waterfalls here, and we walked right behind you where that staircase is over there. That's the Court Street Dam. So it's not the original dam. There's actually 3 dams over there before it. But when Rochester was founded in the very early 1800s, about 1805, 1803, during that time period, private guys built these dams out here. And what they did is they created these raceways on both sides. Now a raceway, you're probably not familiar with what a raceway is, but really just when you build a dam, it diverts the water around the dam and water races down these channels, hence the name raceway, races down these channels, and then they put mills in along the raceways. A way of controlling the water, used the head of the water, the energy of the water, and that would spin turbines. So they built their first dam here, created this raceway and one on the other side that's now gone. This is one of the only raceways left in the New York State area here. Okay, this one here. There's actually, you can see some of the old apparatus. There's a series where these arches are right here down in front of us. There's a series of gates underneath there. They raise the gates, water comes down from underneath, and hence you can see it kind of percolating up here and runs down here. Now, back in its heyday, this was all full of mills all along here. And this is where Rochester was founded. This is where they started creating what they call the flour city came out of. They would grind flour from corn and wheat, not the blooming flour, but that came later on. But the initial one was literally, it was such an agricultural area here, you would get all the grain and everything up here, bring it up here, grind it, using the power of this, and then they would ship it out of here with the Erie Canal.
In the Genesee Valley Canal.
Correct. Now, the Erie Canal was the big push for Rochester. It really made Rochester and put Rochester on the map, along with all of New York State and basically all the canal communities and all the large cities in New York State, all erupted out of the Erie Canal. Now, in our case, the Erie Canal came where 490 is, came right down straight through here, bordered this raceway. So you literally had the Genesee River, you had the Johnson Seymour Raceway, and right over here next to us was where the Erie Canal is. Now, the tunnel, when we walk down there, is actually the original Erie Canal bed.
Oh.
And I'll explain that when you get down there. It sounds kind of weird, but one of the things you're going to see here is there's multiple layers of history. It's just it's like peeling an onion here. It keeps going and going and going. It's so rich in history here in multiple layers. Like every 20, 30, 50 years, things would be happening here at these sites. Like I say, this started out with the Indian trails coming in from Canandaigua, the Finger Lakes, up into this area because of the falls here. This Rochester originally was all swampland. I mean, you wouldn't believe it now, but this was all swampland. Corn Hill, the neighborhood just on the other side of the river there, it was actually a hill, and that's where the very first houses of Rochester kind of came up because it was a hill. And the rest of this was all kind of weedy and swampy and a lot of rattlesnakes, you know, they had rattlesnakes all over the place. And they gradually started developing, they built a dam, built the mills, the town started coming alive from that. And with the Erie Canal here, they were able to ship goods out of this area. Okay, right now we're looking at, you know, using this power again of this water. We're looking at putting hydrokinetic generators in this water here. Kind of start spinning them. If you know what hydrokinetic generators are, they have a backpack version of them. You can take them camping up into the woods. Basically, you just drop them in the stream, you start spinning, you got power right there. You can do them all over the world, most remote areas. We were looking at putting a bunch in here as a demonstration project and lighting up our library that we just came out of with that power. It wouldn't be a lot, but it'd be enough to do a couple buildings.
It's just like the water from the river. It has to be high enough to run the air conditioning and run down.
Correct.
I remember that from working there.
Yep. So anyway, so tapping that in. We also have right here, right behind us where these cars are parked here, we have a big development project going on with Morgan Development, large developer in the area, one of the larger in the Northeast. He's looking at putting in a 4-story building here. And what we're doing is this is the Genesee Riverway Trail here. The Genesee Riverway Trail, the gentleman on the bike is here. This goes all the way down to U of R. If you haven't been on it, I hope you guys have been on it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I hope you've walked
dozens
it,
and dozens and dozens
come
of
downtown.
times.
Basically, it connects all the way to U of R, connects all the way to the Genesee Valley Park, to the canals. It goes all the way down to Pennsylvania, which is really kind of weird. This trail will continue all the way. If you stay on it, you'll end up in Pennsylvania.
Which is where the Genesee River starts.
Yeah, so anyways, it comes in from here. We're going to realign this trail here and actually put it right along the water edge here. And then, so you have a building behind and find it, and the trail promenade in front of it. That's kind of what we're working on right now. But this kind of is where it all starts, right in here. So we'll keep on walking down.
To 90 Canal Street. And we know what's in 90 Canal Street.
Yeah.
I would know. I used to live in it. I know that place like the back of my hand, just like I do Rondell. From working in there. Including the automatic 1936 Graves.
Yeah.
That's hard to get on because it's restricted.
Yeah.
But it's original.
Yeah.
There's also a book called The
Like I say, this is actually the third dam that was here. This is a unique dam. It's a sector gate dam, they call it. Okay, which means there's no hydraulic pistons that operate it. It's all done by basically gate valves. What it is it's large chambers. The dam itself has big chambers in it. And they actually have gate valves that you lift these doors open and water will either flood in, and as water fills this chamber, it goes down. And then when you open another door, water flows out of it and it lifts up. So basically just the buoyancy of the water and actually the way water floods the chamber, the dam goes up and down. There's 3 gates to it. There's only 3 of these in the world like this. It's an old design. I mean, you're talking, this is really old. This is 1905, this dam here, 1905, 1910 vintage. Not a whole lot of these done this way, and I'm sure there's probably a reason why, and it's got to be a certain site for this to make it operate. But anyway, this is, like I say, that's about the 3rd dam that's in here.
Is it working?
What? That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. It has all sorts of different modes, but it does well on auto.
Here you can see the elevation difference. The river would just roar, and they got one of the main gates down. That's why it's really pushing out a lot of water out there. But you can see the difference in elevation. That's what creates the power of the mill race here. Going really slow, this little creek here, but literally it would be enough to turn turbines, and you can actually control the velocity. When this was in its heyday, that little mill race actually went from that wall all the way to this fence line here. It was huge. So the volumes of water that were coming down here to turn these wheel pits and everything and turn the wheels were just gigantic. It was a massive amount of water coming down here. Most of the mills that were along this area here, all stone, they're all stone buildings. They were about 6 to 8 stories tall. Huge, huge things. All big, heavy planks, massive turbines, and it was a whole operation. As far as you could see along this river was just mills, and that's really what put Rochester on the map.
Now we're going on to the dinosaur. So this used to be the old train station, as I recall.
Yeah, this is actually the Lehigh Valley train station. That sound is from the circus. Actually, the circus in town, that's what all these trucks and everything on the bridge are. Barnum and Bailey's circus, so they got the clowns and all sorts of things going on down there. They actually have tons of animals down there and all sorts of stuff going on. But this is the Lehigh Valley Railroad Station. Okay, one thing that occurred, and I'll try to explain as we get down a little further, but you actually had the canal. The canal was on the other side here, and the canal actually made Rochester what it is today. But over the years, the canal went through like 3 to 4 enlargements. It started out as a little tiny ditch, and as boat traffic got bigger and bigger on it, it would expand more and more. It actually went through 4 different enlargements. So one thing that happened is toward the end of its lifetime, this is probably in the late 1800s, railroads were coming on board. So railroads kind of started emerging around 1850, 1870. They really started picking up speed. So they were in competition with the Erie Canal, because the Erie Canal, basically all the towns, you know, up and down the New York valleys, you know, between like Albany, Herkimer, Utica, Waterloo, all of them had the canal going through it, and it's really what made those cities great. And all the material and everything was flowing through those towns and villages. When the railroads came in, they were competition to the canal. So the railroads came in, and one last thing that happened was that Teddy Roosevelt, the president at the time, really, this was before income taxes and any kind of tax. The railroad barons, they call them, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, major names, you know, industrialists in our nation here. You know, they were wealthy beyond belief. You know, if you guys ever been down and see the mansions down in Newport or Biltmore, or any of their buildings or holdings are just absolutely insane to see this stuff. But they had a monopoly, and the president, Teddy Roosevelt, wanted to break that monopoly because it was getting too strong. They had way too much control, and Roosevelt was a president for the people. So one thing he did, which was he said, look, I'll expand the Erie Canal, because he wanted that competition with the railroads. Because I'll expand the Erie Canal, But in doing so, what happened, this is right around 1905 or so, in doing so, all the cities and towns, they said, look, we'll accept that. However, if you're going to expand the Erie Canal, you need to take it out of the downtown areas. Because at the time, the Erie Canal was about 75 years old, almost 100 years old. It was built in 1825, is when it was pretty much built along in New York State. And like I say, this is about 1900, so about 75 years later, the Erie Canal was kind of a ditch, more or less, in the downtown areas. It wasn't today, like water quality today is really important for us. You know, it drives our economy, it drives who we are, it drives our recreation, you know, the scenic beauty, and just, you know, just health reasons, really, too. So, but back then it wasn't that way. I mean, the Erie Canal was filthy. People just dumped raw sewage into it, raw chemicals, everything into it. So the cities and towns said, look, we'll accept that premise that you move the canal, change the canal, and we'll accept an enlargement on it as fighting against the railroads, as competition to the railroads. So what they did in about 1905, 1910, they built a barge canal system. And what the barge canal system did in New York State, it took all the old Erie canals out of these small communities, moved them out of those cities, and created a much larger canal system. And what happened is all the cities and towns at the time had this ditch in their downtown areas. And most cities and towns filled their ditches. But they kept the legacy of the canal there. Hence, when you're driving around New York, you see Erie Boulevard, you see Erie Street, you see Canal Street. You see this legacy in every single town in New York State. But what it was the enlargement was really to keep the canal system going to fight the railroads. Because in Rochester, no different than any other, we had large railroad stations. This is the Erie Lackawanna, or this is the Lehigh Valley. Across the river was a large one for the Erie Lackawanna. They had two railroads coming in on each